All right, so I've been shooting with the Nikon Z8 behind the scenes for quite some time now, and I'm also a Fuji shooter. I remember a few of you guys wanted me to share my experience between these two systems, especially against the Fujifilm XT5. So that's what we're going to do right now. Would have made more sense to do it with the Fujifilm X-H2 since it's a pro body, but I sold that camera a couple of years ago for the Fujifilm X-T5. They're more or less the same, minus a few specs removal for the X-T5. I'm going to share with you guys my overall experience between the two camera systems. So let's just start with the build quality between these two cameras. The design-wise, the Nikon Z8 embodies the more traditional DSLR-like body, which some users may find more comfortable due to its ergonomic grip. Layout of buttons and dials is intuitive, allowing for quick adjustments in the field. And this camera has a lot of buttons, like a lot of buttons. More buttons than the Fujifilm X-T5. The Nikon Z8 also has dual card slots. One is a CF Express Type B and the second is an SD card slot. The CF Express Type B card is amazing for those 45 megapixel RAW photos that you shoot in bursts. As well, it's great for capturing those 8K RAW footage videos that you can do on this camera. When it comes to the Fujifilm X-T5, comparing it side by side against the Nikon Z8, you can see how tiny this camera is. You got this fancy hipster retro dials for the fancy or hipster people. Lots and lots of dials. You got like 3 dials right here. One's for shutter speed dial, ISO dial, and also the exposure compensation dial. The Fujifilm X-T5 is also rocking a dual card slot. However, they are both SD card slots. And if you want the CF Express Type B for one of your slots, then you're going to have to upgrade to the Fujifilm X-H2. When it comes to the EVF, both the Fujifilm X-T5 and the Nikon Z8 have the same resolution of 3.68 million dots. Both are nice and sharp to view in when using the viewfinder. The LCD screen is the same. Both cameras have a 3-way tilt angle LCD screen. It's not a flip out screen, so if you want something to vlog on, these cameras are not it. Handling wise, if you guys are coming from handling like, Fuji X cameras, you're going to feel the size and the girth and the thickness of the Nikon Z8. It's a thick boy, and the grip does feel nice and it feels meaty. It feels like you're holding on to something that won't break when it drops. Like, it feels very robust in your hands. With all that size does come with a lot of weight. The Nikon Z8 body alone weighs about 900 grams or 2 pounds for my Americans out there. That's body only, so we're gonna have to factor in like crazy full frame lenses, and the weight does add up, and it does add more bulk to your camera backpack if you are used to the Fujifilm X system. When it comes to the Fujifilm X-T5, I find this camera so much lighter to hold than the Nikon Z8. The grip I find to be decent. It doesn't feel as good to hold like the Nikon Z8. However, it does weigh 557 grams or about 1.2 pounds. This is so much lighter compared to the Nikon Z8 body. And with Fujifilm's APS-C lenses, this setup is going to be a light, compact setup. Now, when it comes to battery life from both systems, I think both camera has great battery life. I only use these cameras for photos. I don't do much videos on them, so your mileage may vary. I can go on with a day with just one battery for both cameras respectively. Now let's talk about the sensors and image quality. The Nikon Z8 with its full frame stack sensor makes this camera ideal for wildlife, photography, sports, and video. The shutter in the Nikon Z8 is purely electronic. Nikon made the decision to remove the mechanical shutter. The Nikon Z8 stack sensor means faster readout. It reads the whole frame nearly instantly, reducing or eliminating a rolling shutter. Faster sensor readout means real-time autofocusing tracking is more accurate and more responsive. It can lock onto subjects instantly and track them a lot quicker. But we're going to focus on the autofocusing later. There is a lot to love about the Nikon Z8 sensor. On the other hand, the Fujifilm X-T5 is equipped with a 40 megapixel APS-C sensor. The smaller sensor size contributes to a slightly increased depth of field, which can be beneficial in certain shooting scenarios, but you're not going to get that shallow depth of field look that you can get on something like a full frame sensor like the Nikon Z8. The X-T5 sensor is not stacked, so it's slow compared to the Z8. What I like to say is like using an Z8 is like driving a sports car, And while the XT5 can get the job done, it's not going to be as fast. Additionally, the Fujifilm XT5's color science delivers vibrant colors, which many photographers find appealing. And this is where the Fujifilm XT5 has the slight edge with these film simulations. These film simulations are just really good. However, if you want film simulations for your Nikon Z8, I did do a video right here about using these cobalt picture profiles where you can get film simulation colors for your Nikon cameras. I'll leave that in the description below so you guys can check out later. These film simulations are still going to be a talk for most people who's looking for an easier workflow, not wanting to edit their photos, wants that film-like look. You know, the Fuji community with its film recipes really do make it enticing to go down this route. You know, with websites like Fuji X Weekly, with countless, with many different recipes to choose from. You can choose different looks and different presets or recipes for your camera. Now, the Nikon Z8 does not have anything like that I'm aware of when it comes to like recipes. I'm not plugged into the Nikon community, so I'm not sure if there's like anybody in that community making, you know, stuff like recipes like what Fujifilm has with its Fuji X Weekly recipes. However, I gotta say, really love the Nikon's Z8's image quality. I'm liking the output of these raw files I'm getting. It looks really rich. The files are really malleable, and most of the time I can get similar images like I do with my Fujifilm camera. Colors from the Nikon Z8 is something that I'm still getting used to. However, I have to say Nikon colors are pretty good. I still prefer Fuji colors, but out of the many full frame systems that I've tested between the Sonys, the Panasonics, and now the Nikon, I prefer the Nikon colors the most out of all of them. When it comes to picture quality, honestly, you can't go wrong with any of these cameras. It just boils down to your specificity. It boils down to your wants and your needs. When it comes to autofocus, the Nikon Z8 excels with its stack sensor and its X-Speed 7 processor. It does feel like a supercar. You can feel the difference when you're using this camera over the Fujifilm XT5. The way the 3D tracking works when it latches onto a subject is very speedy. I remember using this to try to photograph some seagulls around here, and I was surprised by how it was keeping up tracking with the birds in flight. It just kept moving everywhere. I was very well impressed. The Nikon Z8 can shoot 20 frames per second blackout free, and this was such a trip for me when I got this camera. Blackout free looks so surreal in the EVF, and you're not going to hit the buffer anytime soon because of the CF Express Type B card that you got inside that camera, which is freaking sick. The eye tracking is also great on the Z8, and I have to say that it's insanely reliable than what I'm used to with, you know, Fujifilm's shitbox autofocusing. I've been quite satisfied with the Nikon Z8's reliability. It's really good, and it's probably because of the stack sensor combined with the X-Speed 7 processor. It rarely missed. I take a lot of portraits, so every time I'm reviewing my images, zoom in to see if the iris is in check. Every time I'm getting a lot more shots with the iris in focus than I do autofocus, so it's freaking awesome, and it's quite refreshing to have a camera that's reliable. Fucking Fuji, get your shit together. So this makes the Z8 an excellent choice for something like action photography, where capturing moving subjects with precision is essential. The Z8's robust build and high-speed continuous shooting capabilities further enhances its appeal for like professionals who requires reliability and speed. The Fujifilm XT5 does have the new X-Trans 5 processor, and supposedly Fujifilm states with its new processor it has AI processing technology, which is bullshit. I didn't see it in this camera at all. It also is supposed to be great for eye tracking and subject tracking and autofocusing. But I've done a video of almost a year ago to show you that Fujifilm's autofocusing is trash and it's not as reliable as some of its peers out there. The Nikon Z8's autofocusing is among one of the best that I've used. And I will say this though, because of the way Fuji's been moving lately, basically making their cameras useless with all the firmware updates saying they fixed it, I've come to accept that we're not going to get like good or reliable autofocusing in this generation of cameras like we're promised. Like, it's not gonna happen. Best chance for the Fujifilm XT5 is to use single point autofocusing. It gives you the best results to get stuff. Although it's not tracking, I feel as though it's a lot better than AFC tracking. When it comes to video capabilities, both cameras have some pretty good video specs in my opinion. However, I will give the edge to the Nikon Z8 for its 8K video recording. And I think it's the only camera that's out right now, aside from the Nikon Z9, that can do 8K 60 with raw recording inside the camera. The Fujifilm XT5 has got some decent specs as well. You can do 6.2K up to 30p, 4K 60 with some crops. It can film in F-Log2, 10-bit 4:2 video. And then when it comes to video quality, I do enjoy videos from both cameras. Nikon does provide some red lights that I was able to use and explore with this camera, and I thought it looked really good. And I think if you're more serious about your videography or your filmmaking, the Nikon Z8 would be the better choice over the Fujifilm XT5 just on the video specs alone. So my experiences with both cameras. I like shooting with both. If I need reliability, I'm going to take out my Z8. Right now, it's a great workhorse camera for me. I don't need to worry about it. Whereas with the XT5, especially if you guys are on the later firmware, the autofocusing is not reliable. I still have several people complaining to me about the XT5 and its autofocusing. Some have made the switch to the Nikon Z system as well. One of my friends switched to the Nikon ZF after owning the XT5. And the other one is thinking about switching away from the XT5 to a Nikon system because of its reliability issues that you got, again, with the autofocusing. If you need a travel camera, a camera that is aesthetically gorgeous, the Fujifilm XT5 will turn heads and it will be a great conversational starter for sure. It's smaller, it's less bulkier, and you're still getting a powerful APS-C camera if you don't rely on autofocusing. Cameras are awesome at doing different things. The Nikon Z8, although bulky and huge, is good at so many things, whereas the XT5 is really good at looking pretty and having great colors and pictures. So it all boils down to your budget and your needs and your wants. But yeah, what are your thoughts on these cameras? Would you go for the Fujifilm XT5 or the Nikon Z8? Let me know down in the comments section below. And if you guys are interested in these cameras, I'll leave the links down in the description as well. So yeah, this has been a fun comparison for me to talk about. I just want to share my experiences shooting with a Nikon Z system coming from, Fujifilm. And again, it's really an apples to orange comparison. This comparison is not needed because we all know that the Z8 just slays the XT5 in all categories, almost all categories. But yeah, it's been really fun, and I'm enjoying myself shooting with the Z8. It's honestly one of the best cameras that I ever used to date. It handles everything much better than my Fujifilm when it comes to reliability, when it comes to like build quality and performances and autofocusing. Again, using the Nikon Z8 is like driving a supercar. It's fast, it's powerful, and it's engineered for like peak performances. Whereas using the Fujifilm XT5 feels like, riding a vintage Vespa. It's charming, it's stylish and fun, but sometimes it sputters and takes its time, and it makes you question your life choices at the worst possible moments. The Nikon Z8 or the Fujifilm XT5? Let me know down in the comment section below, and consider subscribing for more photography and gear content on this channel. And thanks so much.